Hey everyone, I'm Greg Tatum. I work on Firefox Translations, and I'm going to talk about teaching machines the languages of the world. So hopefully you all have seen Firefox Translations. To show you a little demo, you go to a page and a little pop-up shows up, and then you can translate into other languages. And yeah. So today I'm going to talk about how we've been building our fully automated pipeline to train our languages. So it starts with a training config. And we've been automating things. So this config is automatically generated. It pulls in all the data sets available and picks defaults for all the different training values. And from there, it goes out into the cloud where we start building the tool chain with task clusters. So we get our Docker, we get our translation engine built, all the machine learning libraries are included into it. From there, download the data sets. So our data has hundreds of millions of parallel sentences, and comes from a variety of sources of open data projects that have assembled them from a variety of means. These can have a large amount of data, and together we put them all together into basically a big bucket. So the problem is, if you have a big bucket of data, is that data good? We don't know. So we have to clean the data. And so with the cleaning step, with Task Cluster, we kick off a bunch of tasks for every data set, and some of those are AI techniques to see if the language is good, or just heuristics and little tricks to see if the data actually matches or not. So let's get into training. We train a bunch of models to finally ship to our users, but first we train a backwards model. So normally we're going, in this example, from English into Catalan. But instead what we do is we reverse the direction, which is weird. And for every model that we produce, we evaluate it. We're constantly evaluating all of our metrics to see what's going on. Now, the reason why we do this is because we need data. We need lots of data. And here we're synthesizing data. We synthesize English from good Catalan. And the reason why we do that is that there's a lot more monolingual data out there. So for instance, here's an example of a Catalan news article that if you take sentences from that, you can generate some kind of okay English, but really good Catalan. And so we take the synthesized data and our original data and combine it together. And from there, we take all of that, which is hopefully hundreds of millions of sentences for medium to larger languages with more data, and then we train big teacher models. Now these are somewhat large language models, but not those large language models. And we have multiple teachers, and we combine them together. And we have the typical training curves that you see. As they train, they learn how to do the thing, and they learn how to do it well, hopefully. And from there, we synthesize more data. So we take these big models, which would be slow to run on people's machines, and we take them, and then we take source English and go to synthesized Catalan. And the reason why we do that is we want to train a student who learns from this teacher. Now, the student is much smaller. It is 67 megabytes, and it is going to be the model that we eventually ship to our users. It is a little bit of a different architecture with some RNNs thrown into the transformer architecture, so it's a little special. And the problem here is that there's always a quality gap. Here, Danish to English has a very small gap, but Bosnian to English has a very large gap. And we try to manage that. But we want to have fast models for our users, so we then quantize it. So we go from float 16 values to int 8. So that's where all the math happens. It kind of squishes all those values down. And from there, we ship to nightly. Start to see how they perform there and evaluate whether they're good enough to ship. Some are, some aren't. And we ship to Firefox release for all of our users. And they can download those basically immediately from settings and begin to translate web pages. So this year has been a focus on automation, so our small team can be effective to train a large amount of models at once. Currently, we're doing a really big training run where we're adding our medium resource languages. And yeah, this is the final pipeline, and kind of to quote Isaac Newton, standing on the shoulder of giants, it was definitely taking a lot of work from a lot of different people and making it work for Firefox and for us and the open source. So thank you so much.